Let Sean sit in there for a minute, and we're going to do our 2-minute commercial for Miller's Ale House. Happy to have everybody here. Happy New Year for three guys who love sports. And
Merry New Year!
Merry New Year. Eddie Murphy from
that is correct.
the Train movie.
Trading
Blue
Places.
Streak. No, Blue Streak, wasn't it?
No, it's
No,
Trading
no,
Places.
yeah,
definitely Trading Places.
Yeah, Trading Places.
Merry New Year!
Merry New Year. That was good. Welcome back, everybody, to Miller's. Like I said, Happy New Year. Robert, Happy New Year, buddy.
Happy New Year, bud.
Did you have a good one?
I did.
Awesome.
I'm ready for 2023.
I did, other than the OSU loss. But other than that, it was a good New
Suck
Year's.
it up.
And
Buttercup.
we'll get into that. But we're back with our good friend, Sean. Sean, welcome back, buddy.
Good to be here.
Happy New Year to you.
Great
Same to
seeing you.
Tell us what's happening at Miller since you left and came back.
I don't know. It's my first day back.
Oh, is it? Sean chose our day to come back and be with us. I'm sure that was his.
I'm sure he's like walking around like, oh, those are still in the same spot. Oh, look,
No,
that-
no, they're not. No, none of it. I don't know what they've been doing since I've been gone.
Bailey messed it up.
Probably. I mean,
Yeah,
she's
it's-
only
Way
half
to
a
go,
bartender.
Bailey. Yeah. She's a half tender. Did she leave?
No,
Is she off? Oh, she's just
yeah,
going
she's
out.
run around inside.
All right. So we're thrilled to death about you being here. You know how much we care about you. And
Yes, sir.
happy to
It's good
see you back. Yeah.
Good to
that's
be
awesome.
back.
Your Jets are toast.
Yep. So are the Falcons.
Yeah.
Only difference is
Falcons
we
been
know
toast.
we don't have a quarterback and we're drafted much higher than you.
Yeah, and you've drafted two in the last 3 years in the top 5. Is that right?
Yeah. I
And
understand.
maybe going for number 3.
Yeah, I understand that the next quarterback the Jets draft, part of his signing bonus is going to be a blindfold and a cigarette.
That might work out
I
well.
know nothing. I know nothing.
That one I know. Sergeant Schultz, Hogan's Heroes, right?
Apple strudel.
Commandant. Okay. Well, buddy, thanks. We're happy to have you back, and we'll let you go get back to work. Anything new here? Same specials? Crab legs tonight?
Yeah, crab legs tonight.
Prime rib tomorrow night? And
Yeah.
what's Friday night? It's something else. I saw it on the menu the other day, and I said, I got to talk about that.
The special for Friday is I'm going to be working one Friday night only.
Bam.
Wow.
Your
Get
friend-
out here and
your-
see my man,
your
Sean.
special is Sean.
That's right.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks, buddy.
All right,
Sean
guys.
takes good care of us when we're here at Miller's, and we
Absolutely,
certainly
absolutely.
appreciate him.
Excellent. Good to see you guys.
Thank you,
Seeing
Sean.
you.
All right. And we're going to bring in our first-time guest,
First time, guys.
Trenton Carson, TC Carson. Everybody put your hands together for him. Larry, everybody put your hands together for him. There you go. Listen to that crowd, TC. They love you.
Oh, man, I love to be here. I love the crowd.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thanks for being here. And, I just want to say, so many people are wearing the same thing. It's definitely the first time we've had a Saluki come on the show. Look, wearing colors proud. I like it.
It's a different definition to be saying go dogs, all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go Egyptian
This one
dogs.
I can embrace. There you go. I can do that. The Egyptian dog. Walk like an Egyptian dog. Is that the name of the song?
Go Egyptian directional dog.
Directional dogs. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about the show. Of course, we're here to honor my buddy Steve Pearson and everybody else that's going through prostate cancer or some other issue with men's health. And if we can take your mind off of what's going on in your life for an hour a week, and you do the same for someone else, and someone else does something for everybody, then we'll all be a better place to live, be a happier world.
I hear he's a richer man, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, Steve's making some money on the
College football.
college football bowl tub. But
Oh,
we'll
no, we're
see
not
where-
talking bowl top. I'm talking about some bet that he made like 9 months ago. But that's
Oh,
a
that
different
bet. Oh, he's not
that's
that rich. Yeah, we'll get into that, I'm afraid. All right, but we're going to get into our segment 1. Talk a little bit about our what's a good adjective to describe the Hawks right now? Pathetic? Would that
Topsy-turvy?
falconish?
Predictable?
Predictable.
Predictably bad. Yeah. I mean, they have just been through a streak. They're on a 4-game losing streak right now. They blew a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter to the Lakers. Isn't that right? On LeBron's birthday,
Yep.
he scored 57 or something like that. 47, a lot of points.
It's never good when LeBron scores as many points as his age, and you
Yes.
drop
Not the
it away.
71 the guy dropped the other night. That was a lot of points.
That was
That was the first
that's
time in a long
that was-
time somebody scored that many.
That was the kid from Phoenix, right?
I think
No.
so. TC
Donovan,
come up with it.
Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan
Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Donovan
Yes,
Mitchell.
yes.
Yeah.
I know it because he did that on the Chicago Bulls.
He did it on the Bulls.
Yep, he did it
No,
against the
and
Chicago
Mitchell,
Bulls in
Mitchell
overtime.
is a
He's a Cavalier.
Cavalier. That's right. Yeah,
But
we played
that's
the
a new
Cavaliers.
team for him, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Last year he was on Utah. Now he's on a
There
Cleveland.
you go. There you go. I knew the one guy left Denver and went to Phoenix, and the other one went to the.
Yep.
But
Yep.
either way, 71. The last time I remember 71 was I want to say
Kobe Bryant was
the
the last one.
Admiral.
Mhm.
The
David Robinson.
David Robinson to win a scoring title one time had I want to say exactly 71 points.
Really? I think the last time that many points were scored was who did I just say?
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant.
81
He's
points.
81, right?
Yes, sir.
Look at this. I got my fact checker here on with me. TC doing a good job. We didn't welcome or wish Larry the engineer, and Adam the intern happy New Year. Welcome back, guys, as
Happy
always.
New Year to the happy table. Look at those smiles.
Adam's. Speaking of Adam's a little sad.
You know,
Can you
we're gonna-
imagine why?
I think Per didn't on Monday.
Per
but-
didn't.
but,
Per,
you know,
per don't.
Per didn't. Yeah. Well, you know, I just want to say I think it's actually Adam's fault because I sat right here 2 weeks ago and told everybody that Purdue was going to be undefeated and #1 in the country until at least next year because they had a couple of weaker games. And I said, until at least next year when they have to play Rutgers. And when I said that out loud, he kind of looked at me like, Rutgers? Are you freaking kidding me? Yes.
And who beats them?
Rutgers.
Yeah.
Now, did you predict that because Rutgers did that last year to them?
No, I did not, and I really, truly was not predicting a Rutgers win. I was just saying, you know, I forget who their first couple games were after they became #1, but they weren't going to lose to those teams. That was
Indiana
just
School of the Blind. and
yeah, something like that.
Illinois Amputee Tech, stuff like that. Yeah.
Here
Purdue
come
can
those
beat them.
sponsors. Oh no, wait. no, those are charges, Chuck.
Whoops, sorry about that. So there you go. Speaking of Purdue, they will probably fall out of the #1 spot. Even Adam the intern says they'll probably drop to 2 or 3. You think 4? You think as low as 4? So you think it'll be
Houston?
Houston, Kansas, UConn
UConn's #4, but
right now.
Right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
you have Purdue, Houston, Kansas, UConn, Arizona, and those are the top 5 with 1 loss.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and predict Kansas will win.
You know, the one interesting thing I wanted to say that I looked up, there are this many undefeated teams left in college basketball.
But this time last week there were 2, right?
Well, but no, New Mexico has lost.
They lost last night.
Hold on.
The Lobos.
Correct me when we're doing the show. If we're doing it right now and I say there are 0 undefeated teams currently, and you argue with me and say they didn't lose till yesterday,
They're
still
still
an
lost.
undefeated- They're not an undefeated team anymore.
Not anymore. They are a defeated team.
And typically speaking, you know, you usually get a couple. You know, there's a couple holdouts. Maybe it's somebody from the Big East, or maybe it's a smaller conference that maybe didn't schedule big games outside. But you know, 0.
And I'm going to tell you who's a good basketball team that if you haven't seen them, you need to go see them play, is the Kennesaw State Owls.
8 in a row at home.
8 in a row at home. They're 2-0 in their conference already this year. They beat Central Arkansas. I went to that game Saturday afternoon at 2. Great tip-off. And we'll talk about that more on the Owl Show, which we host at 7 o'clock. But I went to the game with Garrett Brackett and just had a great time. And we were so much quicker, so much better, so much more physical than this team. And we were only up by 2 at half. And I said, we're going to win this game by 11 or 12. We wound up winning by 16. But at one point, we're up 28. So very, very entertaining basketball going on at KSU. If you haven't made it up there, you need to make it up for a game.
And some of our original fans, when we moved to Miller's Ale House, the Scraggs, Tyson and Christian, he keeps sending me pictures. He's going to these basketball games all of a sudden.
Yep.
Just people out of the woodwork. Everybody's loving on KSU.
KSU. I mean, moving up to Conference USA. It's going to be a joyride. If you're not on part of that, you need to be a part of it. But we will. Do you got anything else to say about Purdue ATI? Can we move on from Purdue?
It was
Okay,
not a good day on Monday.
It was not a good day on Monday. So all right, let's do some Modern Image commercial. You ready, Larry?
Larry's always ready. Modern Image is a locally owned document and photograph scanning company that helps clients secure and use paper files and photos. Whether it's important business files or sentimental family photos and videos, Modern Image is dedicated to helping clients solve problems around paper.
Go Dogs. I'm required to say that. I hate it.
There's nothing better than a sponsor who makes you say something
That you don't want to
especially-
say.
Especially, he might not enjoy saying it in September. Oh, let me tell you, he really hates the first Wednesday of January. Saying those
There's no
words.
doubt, and I'll probably hate it next Wednesday too.
Yeah, there's-
I had the
there's a really
I had
good
the
chance of
perfect
that one.
I had the perfect post for Facebook. If dogs would have lost, I was going to put.
Man, that would have been awesome, Chuck.
I know it. I was going to
It
put.
didn't happen.
I'm going to have a dog gone, all in capital letters. New
Oh.
Year.
Wow, that would have been awesome.
I'll
But,
save it for if they ever lose again.
Yeah, you save it for another year.
Yeah,
because,
another year, because that we'll get into that
It
a
is
little
not
bit.
happening.
All right, we've had a pretty interesting bowl season. Robert was talking a little bit about how there've been a lot of great comebacks, and he has a theory for that.
I do have a theory for that, and my theory is that every rule change in the last 30 years of football has been geared to help the offense, whether it's at college or pro. So what you saw, when the Falcons lost 20 or were winning 28-3 and somehow didn't have that in the bag, it's just happening over and over. It doesn't matter if it's pro, it doesn't matter if it's college. These games are designed with the way the clock is run, with the way the stoppage of play. We'll go no further than last week. You couldn't do your job, Chuck, because you were too busy watching a game on TV. What game was that?
Was that a golf match?
It was not. It was Arkansas versus
Oh yeah,
Kansas.
Arkansas and Kansas.
And who'd have thought it? I get a text message from ATI saying, "Can you believe it? Believe what? I stopped watching that game when they were up by 30 or down by 30."
You know what I'm most curious about? Why I didn't get a text from ATI? Is it because they made that great comeback and he didn't want to?
He wanted to let me know, and he knew I would let you know, and it's all good. But it is crazy to think, that game.
It was nuts.
That game, they were down. They scored the last 25 points to send it to overtime.
Yeah. And TC doesn't know, but Steve, the guy that we do the show for, I predicted on this show at the beginning of the season. I'd read so much about Kansas. I said these guys are going to wind up over 500. And they were like, this guy, that guy, all of them.
We're all right, Chuck. but
They all
go
laughed
ahead.
at me, but only by 2 points. But Steve, I talked to Steve the other day after the game, and he said, "You know what? That was a hell of a prediction to make from a team that was 2-9 or whatever last year,
But
and they
as-
played really well."
But as I like to point out to Chuck, you made a prediction about a Big 12 team. It was the wrong Big 12 team because the Big 12 team that was predicted to be 7th in their conference this year is playing for a natty on Monday night.
And also outside the top 25 to start the season.
They were predicted 7th in their own conference.
I know.
I mean, that would have been like a preseason ranking of 84.
And
Yeah,
what,
I mean,
what they were
that's
5 and
crazy.
7 last year, though, right?
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Losing team.
Yeah,
Losing record.
yeah, crazy stuff. So, did the Salukis play in a bowl game? Do they play football in Southern Illinois?
They play football in Southern Illinois, but they don't play in bowl games. They play in the playoff bracket. So,
Oh, they're in the
They're
FBS?
FCS.
Yes,
FCS.
yes.
Did they make the playoffs this year?
Nah. We stumbled. We started off hot, then we got cold, then we got hot, and we fell off. So
I watched some of TC's stuff on Facebook when he
Yes,
posted about
I
about his
posted a lot.
Salukis.
I was hoping we would be able to play Kennesaw State.
Oh, yeah, that would have been a great one.
Yes.
We'd have
would've
loved
been
to have
fun.
played you.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but both schools wish they were there.
Yeah, absolutely. Neither one of them made the playoffs.
Hey, I got another game I want to talk to you guys about. Did you guys see the Ole Miss game?
I did not.
So if ever there's a guy who's the smartest guy in the room, you know what they always say? If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. But you know what? Lane Kiffin doesn't care what you think. Lane Kiffin went for 4th down 7 times in this game. And I'm not talking about you're down by 20 and you got the ball at midfield. He went for it 4th and 6 from his own 29 early in the game.
Did he get it?
No. He went for it on 4th and 11 or 4th and 1 from his own 11.
Did he get it?
On that particular play, he got a yard, and then his quarterback threw an interception the next
On the next play?
but it was the dumbest thing you've ever seen because it was like a 10-7 game, and they're going for 4th down at their own 11-yard line. What's up with that?
I have no idea.
I mean, what would make? I don't know. I look at somebody like Lane Kiffin, and we all know that he's pretty full of himself, but he's pretty decent at what he does. But how are you going to get that next job? how did you wow a athletic director? Wow, I like how this guy just throws conventionality out and just does whatever the heck he wants.
Well, let's say, do you think that has anything to do with the fact that it doesn't matter? The bowl games just don't matter anymore? I mean, if you don't want to play because you're afraid you're going to get hurt, you're going to the NFL or whatever, you just don't show up.
But if you're going for 4th and 1 from your own 11 with 9 minutes left in the second quarter,
But
I think it does matter.
Well, that's my whole argument. Does it? You say yes. I say I don't know. I mean, it's just bowl games don't mean what they used to mean. I mean, when there was the Big Four, and we talked about this last week: cotton, orange, rose, and sugar,
Yeah.
and that was it. But now there's 43 bowls.
Everybody got a bowl.
Everybody got a bowl, and it doesn't matter. I mean, you know me, Robert. I'm old school, and you, for the most part, are.
With a twinge of young, realistic, whatever. But
A twinge of young realism.
but at the end of the day, if you're in charge of the Independence Bowl, TC, and they did this year, maybe I'll go with a different team because I'd like to see a regular game and not you turn my bowl game into your playground. Oh, look at me, I'm cooler than everybody else. I think it could hurt them. Now, most likely Lane Kiffin will change schools. So,
Yep.
but
See,
either
that
way,
might not do-
it might follow him.
Does recruiting really matter at this point? Because in the olden days, they used to bring their top recruits to the bowl games that they were playing in, right? And
Yeah.
now, would you take a recruit to a game that you knew that, hey, what the heck, I'm going to go for it on 4th and 1 at my own 11?
I think there's 5 double-decker, red double-decker buses with kids in the portal, and they go to all the bowl games. Hey, who's that? Oh, that's the kids in the portal.
There's a lot of people in the portal.
Yes,
I know
there
that
is.
for
There's
sure.
almost more people in the portal than there are playing on any of these teams.
I was surprised at the number of people that are leaving Texas A&M with their $30 million in NIL money. They got 24 players leaving.
Are they all going to Colorado?
Yeah. No, all of Jackson State. Jackson State's in that top 25 where they got 18
Yes.
going on there. So, we talk about it a lot, TC, and I'm so anti-portal, it's not even funny. I can't stand it.
Well, it's more. It's not a transfer portal. It's more of a trading portal. Everybody's getting traded. But this time, I think the kids are putting into their own. They're getting talking to the coaches. Get yourself put in the transfer portal. You'll be playing on my team next year.
Right. As long as you can get in there, I'll take you.
Yes.
But then I know we call that what do we call that, tampering in the NFL. I gotta imagine you're really not allowed to tell me, hey, just make it into the portal.
Right.
So
And you're on.
yeah,
You're the starting
You're
quarterback.
in.
There's JT Daniels that's now going to his 18th team or something like
correct.
that.
He's 37 years old. He will be playing on his 18th team and hopes to be picked in the first round.
In 2045.
There you go.
I tell you, lots of crazy things. Lots of crazy things in bowl games.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about the semifinal matchups. TCU and Michigan. Boy, TCU again. Now, would you categorize that game too? Because Michigan played hard, and TCU just outplayed them. Wouldn't you say?
They did, but they got that early lead and they just clung to it. The whole game was, do you think they can have a lead at the end of the game? Because Michigan was going to score and do everything they could to take the lead away, but dang it if they didn't just answer. And he did not. Max didn't have as amazing of a game as he had against K-State in the Big 12 championship game, but he did enough. He did enough, and the team looked like a team.
Yeah. Have you heard anything about Andre Miller? Is he going to be able to play next Monday?
I do not
The
know.
running back. ATI, can you look that up? What's his status for Monday? Andre Miller, running back at TCU. They've got a couple of Cadero or something. The backup guy's pretty good, and the Johnson, the wide receiver, is really good. And we'll get into talking a little bit about the Georgia TCU matchup in a minute. But is Harbaugh done in Michigan? Is he gonna? Huh?
Captain Khaki?
Yeah.
Hey, Captain Khaki tried to leave at last year. He beat Ohio State. The Dogs handed it to him, and he started sending that resume out to as many cities as possible. He had 0 takers, and he walked right back into Ann Arbor, and every single one of those Big Blue fans, and you know who I'm talking to if it's you at home, you sat there and you went, oh, our coach is back. It's good. I'm glad our coach is back. Well, guess what? He just beat Ohio State for a second time, and he's sending that resume back out.
Yes.
Carolina?
Tennessee. How about that?
No, I think Heupel's solid at Tennessee.
Oh, no, I was going pro.
Oh no, I'm telling. Oh, pro. Okay.
Because Captain Khaki, I think, would like to get back into the NFL.
I think so. I hear like it's about 4 teams that can use him next year if he decides to jump.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of them, and I guarantee you one of them won't be Denver, because that is a pitfall disaster.
That's
going
like
out
going
there.
to Atlanta, isn't it?
No,
I mean, like going to Georgia Tech is what I'm thinking.
No, and it's not from the standpoint that at least if you're from Atlanta, we got a 7th pick this year. You got nothing coming for years in Denver. But, you look at something like Houston.
Yes.
Houston has the number 1 pick, and currently they also have the number 12 pick that they're getting from Cleveland. There's your, what is that, questionable, probable? Questionable.
Questionable.
Questionable to be in the game. But, there's a lot of people might decide to go, the Texans got a lot of picks. How about that? Nobody wants to go to a horrible team with no picks.
That would be true. That would be true.
But yeah, I don't think he'll be gone. I think somebody will take him up this time.
Oh, they will. And Indiana might, go ahead and take him.
Indianapolis?
Yes.
Oh no, absolutely. There's
Oh
I
yeah,
don't think
Saturday.
I don't think
Just Saturday it wound up not being what he thought it was.
No.
I think.
Well, that's so easy. Go home.
Yeah, go home. All right, back to college.
Okay.
Yeah, we got off on a tangent there. The Dogs in Ohio State. I know, like midway through the 4th quarter, Ohio State was 97.9% chance to win, kind of like the other game. Who was that you talking about? They just drastically swapped in the last couple of minutes.
Kansas?
Yeah, Kansas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody else you said, but that one too. Yeah.
There's so
it's
many
crazy.
games.
Yeah.
So many games.
But Ohio State had their chances. I hated to see Harrison get hurt.
Yes,
I hate to see anybody get hurt, and that be because, of course, Georgia lost to tight end, right? And he's going to be out probably for the game.
The
on
Big O.
The Big O on Monday. So
You gotta love it when you have a nickname that's just because you have a 0. His name doesn't begin with O, right? They go, that's a Big O.
yeah, not like Oscar Robertson, right?
Correct.
He was the real Big O. Yeah.
So let's ask our guest. Did you think that was a targeting penalty in the Georgia Ohio State
end
game
zone.
on Marvin Harrison Jr.? Do you know the play we're talking about?
Yes, I do. In the end zone. It looked like a targeting play. It really did. But I don't think the ref made a football decision. I think they made a marketing decision because we're not going to take our best player. We're not going to kick 2 people out. Games on the line this late in the game.
That's true.
We're not going to do
true.
anything.
But they took Harrison out.
Well, he got.
Well, he was
out.
already going to
Right.
be out of the game. His question if you're taking another person
Because
out.
Michigan and TCU, they had a targeting.
That was targeting.
Yeah, and they took it away.
Yeah, they said no targeting.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just the way Chuck said that, and we already have had our thing, he thinks everything was targeting. But just the way he just said that last line, and that was targeting. So you're actually admitting that you don't think the other one is targeting you, even while your other side of your mouth is saying it was.
What?
Did you follow that at all? You're saying both of them were targeting, but then when the Michigan game gets brought up and you go,
That
was
was
targeting.
That
As if
no,
the
that
other one
one
wasn't.
was, as in there's no argument about that.
Well,
If Adam thinks it's targeting, you know it's targeting.
no, that just means there's somebody from Dallas or Purdue involved, and Lord help us all.
Heaven to murder Troy.
I don't think it was targeting. Every time you see a targeting penalty, they always go to the replay. And if you're running full speed, you've got all these pads on. You're running 25 miles an hour at a guy who's probably moving this way or that way, or maybe even right towards you, and you see it right at the end. They get ready for that collision. That's what it is. You're hitting them with the crown of your helmet. The Georgia guy got him with a high shoulder, but it wasn't early. And, was it a hit? Abso-freaking-lutely. But I don't know how you can play that one any closer. if that is a penalty, I honestly don't believe football will be around for another couple years. Because then everything's a penalty. You know, if I don't hit you with my helmet and I don't hit you early, but you're in the end zone, should I give you an extra half a second and see if you can get it down before I hit you? You know, that doesn't seem like the right thing to do.
Well, we have to understand that it's a fast ball game.
Super fast.
This is a super fast ball game played by super athletes.
Absolutely.
And collisions are going to happen, right? And that's why I think football is football, and that's the way it is. And we'll get into a little bit about DeMar Hamlin in a little bit. But football is football, and people are going to get hurt. People are going to get hit. I just don't like the way that the reviews changed the ball game. I mean, I understand that there are necessities, but I made the argument earlier, TC, that 5 years ago this game's Ohio State wins because they wouldn't have reviewed that 4th and 1 on the sideline when Brent Bowers went over. They don't review that game. They don't make that play, and then Ohio State travels down and they do something, but they don't give up the 3 points. I think Georgia only scored 3 then, but because they held them at 4th and 16 or something, they kicked the field goal. But I just don't think that happens. So
No, you're probably right.
yeah. So and that's when.
But it wasn't that year.
No, it wasn't. So kudos to Georgia, if I can say that. I hate to say
You
it.
did, and that's a very large man to say that.
Yeah,
'cause
Maynard
we know
G.
you don't-
Krebs just walked in, so I had to say something. So he's a big dog fan. So
2 things I want to throw out about that game.
okay,
What are the chances that both quarterbacks were 23 of 34? I mean, that seems like an impossibility right from the get-go, that they threw the ball the same amount of times, completed the same amount. One was good for 348. The other one was good for 398. So, you know, tons of stuff there. But the one thing that every other Ohio State fan outside of the targeting call is on the missed field goal and how he just flubbed it, you know, as my buddy likes to call it, a shankopotamus.
Yeah.
Shankopotamus. That's a good word.
You know, at the end of the day, if they'd kicked from where they got a first down, it's a 49-yard field goal. They called a horrible run play where they lost a yard, and then they called 2 pathetic pass plays. I'm not talking about anything where you gave your quarterback had just run for 30 yards. Maybe you call something that gives him possibly a little bit more of an option to do such a thing, because you really only need 6 yards. If you're a field goal kicker, anything between 19 and 45 yards is the same thing you practice every day. It's at this trajectory. It's at the same speed. As soon as you tell a kicker it's going to be 50 yards, they lower that trajectory. They start thinking, you know, it's like a long drive tournament. I got to get into this one. That's what happens. So you're forgiven, field goal kicker. Offensive coordinator should have hooked you up and gotten you 6
How
yards.
familiar does that sound to the 28-3 Falcons lead? With
Well,
poor play calling.
Well, poor play calling, but completely different. You know, there's a difference when you're just constantly, you know, gushing.
There was an
blood
earlier
and water.
drive when Ohio State was 2nd and 5, and they needed a field goal, and they take a sack, and it was 4th and 16. They wanted to get a field goal instead of having a shot at a first down and a touchdown.
And missing field goals is part of the game. Obviously,
Georgia missed 2.
Yes.
And without that, none of these other conspiracy. Oh, if it had been this, it'd have been. You know, with those 6 points, you know, that was a completely different game anyway. But
And that's why football is football, right?
it is. It is.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the upcoming championship next Monday.
Dun, dun, dun.
7:30. I heard the silliest thing I heard on the radio today. These announcers come up with some crazy stats. He said, Georgia's got the advantage when it comes to rest.
That's correct.
Why is that? Because they only had to go back to Athens, and TCU had to fly back to Dallas from Phoenix or wherever they played. I said, but Georgia's got to fly from here all the way out to SoFi, and TCU's only got to go from Dallas. So how did they have the rest advantage?
You know.
And
whenever
why does it matter? If you're
When-
playing
when
in the national championship,
It doesn't.
It doesn't
It-
matter if you slept 2 weeks or you haven't.
Not at all. Not at all. And, you know, at the end of the day, Georgia had to play later, so there's a little less rest from that one.
Yep.
And, yeah, TCU did have to go to overtime, which technically isn't much once you get to third overtime, or, you know, any of that stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was confusing my 2 games there. They didn't go to overtime.
Yeah.
It was a heck of a game.
Yeah, it was a good game. But I think it's going to be a better ball game on Monday than people think. I think 14.5 is way too many points for TCU. I mean, Max Duggan's a competitor.
Yes, he is.
Andre Miller's a stud if he runs. As ATI told us, he's questionable for a Monday, but today's Wednesday, right? So he's got 5 days to get ready.
Well, as everybody's heard by now, the last two double-digit favorites in the national championship game over the last 23 years have both lost.
Yep.
FSU was an 11.5-point favorite over Oklahoma. Miami was a 12-point favorite over Ohio State. You know, things happen, and, you know, it is true that people read, you know, oh, I don't listen to anything. I don't read anything. Of course you do. Everybody does. But there is one thing in Georgia's favor. That's because Kirby has drank so much Saban in his life. You know, at the end of that game, yeah, well, we better not play like that in a week, or, you know, we might as well not even go out there and travel. You know, he's not giving anybody an attaboy for making it to the, you know, good job today of screwing everything up, and I hope to God you don't pull that again in a week.
And I hate to pull up this question because I already know the answer, but I'm genuinely concerned. Is it better for college football if TCU wins than if Georgia wins?
Are Ben Affleck and Matt Damon making a movie about it? Because they'll make one if TCU wins. I don't know who's going to be in it, but
Yeah.
Are you looking at it as, do you want the underdog to win, or do you want Georgia to repeat?
Yeah, you know me.
Well, you don't want Georgia to repeat.
I don't want
but,
Georgia to repeat.
But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, everybody wants to think their team has a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, most of you don't. And here's a team, TCU, that was picked 7th in their own conference. Their conference wasn't even thought to be very good, and they were predicted 7th. So if this team comes through, yeah, it's the Rudy the rest of the world wants.
Not Dog Nation.
Not maybe every person in the nation, but
Yeah.
but yeah, you know,
I mean, because we talked about how the Southeast Conference has kind of dominated the national championship with Bama and even LSU a few years ago, and now Georgia. It's to a point, and that's my whole point. I mean, I think Georgia's going to win. I'm not saying I think TCU's going to win. I hope they do, but I think Georgia's going to win. But I just think it'd be better for the game if it were more spread out. I mean, nobody's going to stop watching college football for any reason whatsoever. College football is king in this country.
It is, and it's getting ready to get bigger and better because we're moving to more teams. And I know you're not a fan of the 12-team format, but the 12-team format gives you that sliver of hope for your downtrodden underdogs,
Well,
whoever they may be.
Let me make a caveat there. I am in favor of the 12 playoff teams, like we talked last week, if they make those 12 games or whatever number of games a playoff,
Correct.
a bowl game.
Mm.
I don't want 12 playoffs and then 43 bowl games.
Yes.
I think they need to say if you win the not the cotton. Let's say you win the Weed Eater Poulon Weed Eater Bowl, you move to the Liberty Bowl or whatever.
Absolutely.
I'm all for it.
That's the way
I
it
am
needs to
all
be.
for that. Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
If it was a 12-team format this year, would these two teams be playing for a national championship?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think, honestly, and I you know, Dog Nation, don't hate me for just talking, but I don't think anybody's beating Bama. I mean, I really, you know, when he put on a show, he showed everybody, I'm the best quarterback in the land. I can put the ball wherever I want. They might have lost 2 games by a total of 4 points in the 2 hardest cities in the Southeastern Conference to play in.
That's true.
But at the end of the day, if you just turn them into a 5 seed and you say, okay, you get to play. You know,
Oh, man.
whack.
Southern Illinois or
Yeah.
something like that.
Hey now. That was a low blow.
Low blow.
But no, whoever might have been the you know, think of all these different teams. Look at how bad Clemson looked. Could you imagine Clemson in that getting you know, Bama would have beat them by 50.
And it's funny because transitive properties don't work in college football. I mean, you never know who's going to beat who on a given day.
Correct.
In most cases. But you think about it, Kansas State just got drubbed by Alabama, right?
And they had that one run where little Deuce 22 for Kansas State.
McAllister, yeah.
You know, he busted what a
Oh, Deuce
90
Vaughn, yeah.
He busted like a 90-yard touchdown run. If that didn't happen, that's a 50-3 game. You know, I mean,
And Kansas State beat TCU in the Big 12 championship, right? Just imagine and Alabama beat Tennessee beat Alabama. Georgia beat Tennessee. Is that where they come up with the 14.5-point spread through that chance of the property? We're going for Georgia, who beat Tennessee, who beat Alabama, who clobbered Kansas State, who beat TCU.
That's how all the idiots all vote on it, but Vegas is only worried
Did he
about.
just call me an idiot?
I pointed at me as well, though.
Oh, okay.
I
All
didn't
right.
just do you. But at the end of the day, they just want 100 people to bet on TCU
and 100 people to bet on Georgia.
And they know
Live off the juice.
If it's 7.5, they know they're not getting that. So
Well, speaking of juice, why don't we do our Bearcat? Did you wear your shirt today?
I did not. I almost did though.
Yeah. First, we should wear it first Wednesday of the month, every month. So.
I don't know that I should match you ever. No.
Well, the guy's paying us. Well, you'll wear it once a month, right?
Well,
It's a different shirt.
No, I just think we could
Yours is
alternate.
solid gray.
You wear yours on the first, and I'll wear mine on the second or something.
Okay, that works.
Because we do want to pump them up. Do you have a delivery right now? As in go now, please. Bearcat Express has expedited shipping on hand-carried items, caravan or pickup. Whether it's from Memphis to Augusta, Dothan to Charlotte, or even just Athens to Atlanta and all points in between, we've got the drivers to get your stuff where it needs to be. Whether your passport's still on the dresser, your 7-iron isn't in your bag, or you have a dog that hates to fly, Bearcat Express with their live tracking capabilities is the team to turn to. We are the go-to courier in the Southeast. Check us out at BearcatExpress.com.
And once again, thank you, Blair Cook. Saw Blair actually last week and made a run for him unexpectedly out to Athens. Had to meet him in Bogart, Georgia. But good to see Blair, and thank him and David McDonough both for being sponsors, Modern Image and Bearcat Express, for supporting us and supporting Helping One Guy. Speaking of Helping One Guy, real quick, the Bowl Bash is winding down. Robert, you said that you got a couple of friends that are neck and neck.
I only have 2 friends in the world, and both they are first and second in this.
I think they're using a tout service.
Scott Brown is in first place, has a 1-game lead over Howard, and it really comes down to that final game.
Do they know they have to come here to the show to get their gift certificate?
I think they're both okay with that.
Okay. Good. All right. So that will be determined. So if they pick the same team,
Then Scott wins.
then Scott wins. Are they close enough to where they'll say, you take so-and-so and I'll take so-and-so? Or
No, they don't know each other at all. The only reason why they know each other is Howard lives in my neighborhood, and I do a confidence pool with him that Scott's been participating in. But one's a Tech fan, one's a Georgia fan. Who knows with that huge spread who's going which way?
Is a Georgia fan going to take TCU just to win the pool? Because if he thinks the other guy's going to take TCU plus the points, wouldn't he take the TCU plus the points?
Absolutely, but but just like you, Chuck, I'm sorry for saying that about you, Howard. Just like you, Chuck, just because he hates Georgia doesn't mean he wants to lose money. So you might look at it and go,
And that's my whole point. Yeah.
2 touchdowns. I'm still taking Georgia. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care as long as they win by less than 14.5. That's the great thing about betting sports, right? All right, so we've got our commercials out of the way. Again, thanks Miller's Ale House for supporting us as well. Sean back behind the bar. That's a fabulous thing to see. And we will move into NFL football.
We got more people showing up.
We
Them
got people
KSU people, they just
Will
show
the
up.
Thrill Renfro is arrived, is freshly back from San Antonio, Texas. And we'll talk to Will later in the evening. I guess we can't start the NFL without talking a little bit about Mr. Hamlin from Buffalo. That was a gut-wrenching thing to watch. I saw Joe Theismann break his leg. I've seen a lot of injuries. Darryl Stingley get hit by Atwater?
No, Atwater wasn't around in '77.
Who
That
hit
one,
Stingley? I used to know that, but I can't
I
remember.
used to know that one too.
You know that one, TC?
don't.
Yeah, TC's a kid compared to me, right? But I have seen my share of injuries, but I've never seen anybody just stand up like he did and then just fall straight back on his back.
We're all invincible until the moment we're not.
Exactly. But how this has changed football, I have never seen. I mean, when Heisman was hurt and these guys were hurt, they put him on a cart and he took off, right, and resumed the game. But this was just something totally different. I've never seen players break down on the field like they did Monday night. I guess there's never been a Monday night football game canceled before.
there's never been an NFL game not finished.
Right.
Yeah,
this.
I'm just
this-
talking about canceled and played later at a later
right,
date.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea that it was stopped and everybody went home is mind-boggling.
And many prayers for this young man. I mean, God bless him and hope him and his family survive. Last I heard today that I don't know that he's breathing on his own, but they've reduced the amount of oxygen they're providing him with. I know he was down from 100 to 50% this morning, and the last report I read, they saw signs of positive improvement that they weren't expecting till today, overnight last night. So Godspeed, and and I hate to get on a political soapbox because this show is not about politics or anything, but all these people that say they don't watch the NFL because of Kaepernick kneeling and all that stuff, but the love that reached out to this guy, and I couldn't believe they let ESPN say the word prayer so many times on ESPN. That was amazing, the number of times they talked about everybody praying for him.
They actually prayed.
Yeah.
They prayed on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. yeah.
NFL
Actually,
was it
wait,
NFL?
what's the quarterback? Orlovsky.
Orlovsky.
Yes.
Dan
Yeah,
Orlovsky.
he led a prayer.
That was on NFL
on,
film. Yeah, on
you know,
NFL Network. Yeah, that was
no,
amazing.
it was on ESPN.
Was it?
It was
Yes.
on ESPN.
I thought it was NFL
and
Network.
it was, hey, I'm going to lead a prayer, and you've never seen that one.
Close their eyes right there on the studio. It was really, really cool. So kudos to the NFL. Everybody said they think they messed this up. I don't think they did.
No.
I think they handled it as well as they could have. And to this point, where else would you want that to happen? I mean, if that
Nowhere.
happened in here, he's dead.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If that happened anywhere else other than at a hospital, but he had the care within seconds.
And if it happens, and I don't mean to throw Big 12 or SEC or anybody else, but if it happens even in a big college game,
Yes.
let alone a small college game, you're still not getting that type of support that quickly. And it's just it's sad, it's gut wrenching. But going back to what you were saying about the players all getting emotional, when Theismann's leg went in the other direction,
Compound fracture.
some football players look at that and they go, that's what could happen.
Yes.
You're not ever expecting CPR out on the field. You're thinking that is not in the realm of what could happen today. And I think the idea that just if you've ever watched chest compressions, and I'm not talking about NCIS, that's a pretty intense thing, knowing that somebody is that close to not being around tomorrow.
That's your only choice.
It's,
Yeah. I was approved to do CPR for several years.
not on me.
No, I was actually a first aid attendant at Six Flags for 3 years, and I actually saw somebody give a guy CPR. I did diagnose the guy. I brought him in from the parking lot. He was just having chest pains. 31 years old. I'll never get this. His name is Don Hunt, and he said, well, we just ate at Shoney's, and my chest just hurts. I said, well, he's either having a heart attack or he's just got a bad case of indigestion. And so I put him in the cart, and we took him in. A friend of mine that worked in Tram stopped me and said, well, we'll go ahead and take him into the first aid station, and then if he needs to pay to get
Just
in
to
the
make
park,
sure.
we'll take care of it, just to make sure. And the minute we pulled in, he went to a full arrest. And the nurse and one of the EMTs got on him and did CPR. It saved his life, 31 years old. So
It's crazy.
it is crazy, and it's very nerve-wracking. I mean, for somebody like me that has never given anybody CPR other than Darlene the dummy. But
She did let you get all the way to third base, but that's a different
well,
story.
there was a
too.
different Darlene. She was kind of a dummy, too.
But at the end of the day, as many injuries that have ever happened, and I wrote down a few. Guy from my hometown, Ray Boom Boom Mancini.
Yep.
Yeah, Duck Koo Kim.
Boxer.
So Duck Koo Kim died in the ring. Little different because you're once again expecting pain and everything. But you had a Detroit Lions wide receiver,
Chuck Hughes.
He died on the field. They finished the game.
A minute before the game was over.
Ayrton Senna died. They finished the race. Dale Earnhardt died. It was the last corner of the race. Every time that something like this happens, no matter what the governing body is, they sweep up the field and you go back to it. And the rumors, which ESPN is still holding true to them, is that they were given a 5 minute before the players come back to warm
Yes,
up.
they did.
And the NFL says, no, we didn't say anything like that.
Troy Vincent said that never happened. Yeah.
And at the end of the day,
But it could have been the officials that just decided that. I don't know. I mean, and again, getting back to the 36 minutes that they made to call off the game, there were a lot of pieces. There are a lot of phone
Tons.
calls that had to be made, and a lot of red tape that had to be deciphered before they decided to do that.
Not to mention that you're setting a precedent.
Absolutely, and I think 36 minutes was awesome. I think it was handled properly. Like I said, God bless the NFL for being prepared to have the medical teams on staff, on site, and have that taken care of that quickly.
Now, would you think they would have done the same thing if it happened in the fourth quarter?
In terms of calling the game off, yeah, I do.
I think soon as it came to chest compressions, I think that's where it changed, because when you see that picture of the quarterbacks both crying,
Yes.
you know, it's one thing to know, man, that's a dude who I've been, busting my hump with for the last couple of years or something. Joe Burrow doesn't know him from a hole in the wall and is still shaken up physically from watching that.
And,
So
and it's amazing how the country itself has reached out support. The guy's got a Toys for Kids thing in Pittsburgh.
Did you see those
$25,000. It's over $6 million now.
Yes.
That's amazing
That's
how this
awesome
country
stuff.
reaches out. The people that care about each other really take care of each other in this country. And I think we should leave this subject. But like I said, God bless him. I hope he's well. And kudos to the NFL for what they did.
and I'm just going to tiptoe back in with this subject for 1 second on a slightly different thing. They have to play the game. So the game has been suspended. They say it's not being played this week, which means you're going straight into your Week 18, your final games of the year. Currently, the Chiefs have the lead. They played an extra game, so they already have an extra win. But when it all comes down, if the Chiefs were somehow to lose this weekend, then the Bills have to win that game to get a 1. If the Chiefs somehow lose this weekend, then the Bills-Bengals game is for the bye and the 1. And you're going to do it. There's only one way to do it. The first week of the wild card is going to get bumped a week. Everything's going to get bumped. There's not going to be a 2-week break before the Super Bowl. And in 2 weeks, there's only going to be one game, and it's going to be the Bills and the Bengals.
So you're saying a week from this weekend?
That's correct. There will be only one game that weekend, but you have to give them a break. You can't tell them, okay, we're going to play you on a Tuesday.
After you
because
played on Sunday.
after you played on the Sunday, and whoever loses this game and doesn't get a bye has to play again on Sunday again. So,
That's 3 games in 7 days
you
is
can't
not.
do that. And I'm going to give you one other reason before we run away from this subject. And
Well, this is a totally different subject.
it is a different subject, but the real crazy thing that you haven't heard anybody say anything is fantasy football. Week 17 in 80% of all leagues in this country is the Super Bowl.
Yep.
In a game that involves the number 2, the number 3 quarterback, and 3 of the top 10 wide receivers, these guys are in play in all of these games. And before everybody, and I know there's a few people out there rolling their eyes going, leave it to Robert to ruin a good feeling moment by bringing up fantasy football. It's a marketing thing for the NFL. There's a lot of people who do not care about the NFL but like fantasy football. And that is a different demographic that you have touched into. If you somehow they don't get a Super Bowl, nobody's getting paid, nobody knows what to do, it won't happen. They will have to play this game.
We have to move on and the game moves on.
That's
And-
correct.
And I totally agree. I mean, I think there's a time to move on, and if it was my decision, if I was Roger Goodell, I'd do exactly what Robert said. Play the games this weekend, let them play the following weekend, and push everything back. And they could even, if they still wanted the 2-week gap, it was Adam, was it you that told me that there's a clause where they can move the Super Bowl back and forth 3 weeks either way.
but the
So why not still have 2 weeks?
But this is the reason why they won't. Because the only guaranteed date is the Super Bowl. So those reservations and all that
you're
stuff
right.
has been done for 2 years. So they know every person who's wanting to fly to the Super Bowl venue, all these other things is done. The wild card, nobody knows where the wild card is going to be next weekend, the weekend after. So you're not messing with anybody's travel plans or itinerary. And it has happened many times. We only had 1 week off after 9/11. We actually had a 4-year run where there was no weeks off
At all.
between
Playoffs and
2000
Super Bowl.
and 2004. And I think they did it in 82 when there was a strike. But
81.
You know, it's going to be tough. There's not as much pre-coaching, but
Well, is this the first time that the NCAA championship and the Super Bowl have been played on the same field in the same year?
no, I believe they started that a couple years ago.
Did they?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right. Awesome. So we can move on from that now. Are you happy?
Go Bills.
Go Bills. I'm still a Bills fan. So
Hey, and if ever there's a story to get the Bills, you know, nobody rallies those circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
And we're
Is
already-
this their year?
yeah, I hope so.
I mean,
you
this
know
could-
what? The mental thing is what concerns me now.
Yep.
Well, absolutely, and you're going to see real quick come next Sunday if this is a team. And I don't want to use the word fragile. You know, I mean, obviously, you just watched a close friend have this happen. Who knows what's going to happen?
Play for DeMar Hamlin. That's got to be their rally, right?
But
He pulled
it's their rally cry, and I think Buffalo gets their
That's the
they
edge.
get their trophy.
Yeah.
All right. I hope so too. And after the college game next Monday, we'll be able to spend a lot more focus on NFL, and we'll get into the playoffs pretty seriously.
Next Wednesday, we'll actually know what's going to happen with all this stuff.
We hope so, yeah. So let's talk real quickly about Brady and Rodgers both bringing their teams back. And can you believe that all the crap we talked about Aaron Rodgers earlier in the year, that he's got a chance to be in the playoffs?
You know, I said it last week. You know, you had two very soft dome teams, Minnesota followed by Detroit, coming to Lambeau. You know, that's a script that Aaron writes himself. Ooh, how do I get back? Ooh, I can do it this way. And I like how that one's figured out. So did you see?
They put it on Sunday night,
Yeah,
right?
they flexed
They put it on Sunday night because the game doesn't matter if Seattle wins.
Yeah.
If Seattle wins, then this is just another game. But if Seattle loses, then you get that for the last wild card spot. So it's pretty cool.
Cool, very cool. But Tampa Bay's in, and they're probably going to be. Well, we'll get into that in a minute. We'll talk about that. But kudos to Brady and Rodgers. Who'd have thought it would come to this, right?
Well, and I sent you something last week for those who didn't know. Last Thursday, Tom Brady was 22 years old, 8 months and 13 days the day he got drafted. Last Thursday was 22 years, 8 months, and 13 days since he's been drafted. So technically, as of right now, Brady's been in the NFL a week
Half his
longer,
life.
no more than half
Yep.
his life. That is impossible. You know, and you know, when you watch those things, I listen to Strahan. I don't like to listen to a lot of people because they kind of blow stuff up each direction. Strahan made a great point. When you watch an old quarterback, you go back to the Manning when he won the Super Bowl with the Broncos. This guy couldn't throw anything. He couldn't do anything. Brady is throwing the ball 45 times a game, and he's looking sharp.
Yeah.
He's a freak. He is a
Did
freak
Ray
of
Guy play
nature.
that long in the NFL?
Ray Guy and George Blanda are the only people who are close. George Blanda had 17 broken noses and looked like it, and Ray Guy kicked a ball.
Yeah.
You know, nothing's like what Chin Brady does. He's unbelievable.
I got to give him that.
I hate
And,
him.
and I know we need to move on and make our picks because we're running up on 6, but I got to give TC a chance to talk about his quarterback. He's a big Bears fan, so tell us what's going on with Justin Fields. Is he the go-to guy in Chicago?
Justin Fields is the future Chicago. That's how we're playing them. They're playing around him now. So we traded a lot of people. We've sold off a lot of picks and whatnot. I think we're picking top 5 next year. So we stashed up a lot of cash. For him.
Right now, you're number 2, and if somehow Houston wins this game, you're number 1.
Yeah. So
you're in a
they
good spot.
prepare for that. They're saying we're just going to build around this guy. We got a lot of cash stockpiled for him next year. So we're going to try to bring in some free agents. We're going to try to, move up in the draft. Well, get extra picks in the draft. We already up the highest we're going to get. But, yeah, he's the future. Once they start selling Khalil Mack, we know that's the guy.
So what do they need? Do they need 2 bad mammoth jamma wide receivers? Because he's got no weapons, and they have a lot of holes on that team.
Well, they're building their offensive line, so they make sure they're going to protect the guy. And then they're going to try to bring in some free agents from wide receivers. You see they bring Chase Claypool over.
From
They're gonna try
Pittsburgh.
They're
Yeah.
going to try to bring in some others to help them out.
Which technically, with Claypool going to Notre Dame, he's already kind of a Chicago guy anyway.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What do you think about the Dome in Chicago? I think it's the silliest thing in the world.
It is, because when you playing, especially northern teams, you play in the atmosphere. Rain, snow, sun.
You and I
that's
have
what
had this
you're-
conversation
Yes,
before. Yeah,
yes,
yeah. I hate indoor football. Despise it.
But look at we're talking about the Lions and Vikings having to go to Lambeau. If the Bears are a dome team, boy, does that just almost lock up December's in Wisconsin?
And the only reason
I hope so.
they're considering it as a dome team because you have to get a Super Bowl bid. You're not playing outside in the cold in the Super Bowl.
But
And they should.
But they did this a couple years ago. You remember when they had the Super Bowl in New York and the blizzard hit? I don't know how many northern dome teams are getting those anyway. Even just because the field's right doesn't mean anybody can get inside the stadium.
That's true.
One of the oldest Super Bowls for that was Silver Dome when the Bengals played the Niners
In Detroit, yeah.
In Detroit, and there was a lot of people who couldn't make it to that game because it was a blizzard.
It was a blizzard. Yep. Well, that's interesting. TC, thanks for that take back on Chicago football and Justin Fields. They had a decent running game this year, right?
Hey, yeah, because it was Justin Fields.
Yeah. Well, who was the running back? David
Montgomery.
He was
yeah.
decent back.
And then
You know,
Khalil Herbert is the backup.
Yeah.
They've got good running backs, but once again, do those guys just run better because Fields is there? Or?
Yes, because now you got to watch out for him, But they both was injured, so it took away from the run game. It made, Justin do more. But we're
All right,
okay. We get
God,
there.
we've got 5 minutes.
That's beautiful.
We got to make our picks. All right, game number 1. We have Tennessee plus 6.5 at Jacksonville. Now this is for a playoff spot, right?
Playoffs.
For a championship of that
Playoffs?
that division.
Hey, I'll go ahead and do this one first for you. Tennessee had a Roswell quarterback who got replaced with a quarterback from Alpharetta, and neither one of them are good enough to beat a quarterback from Cartersville.
Yeah,
So I'm going Jacksonville.
heavy Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
So all across the board. And who is it? What's the starting quarterback you were telling me about, Adam? The one's going to be number 65 this year? Yeah, Sam Howell. Who's he with? Washington.
Oh, yes,
Be
correct.
the 65th quarterback to start a game this year. Record for the NFL. 65 different starters
And,
in the NFL.
you got to stop yourself and go, Mahomes played every game. Allen's played every game. So, there's a lot of teams where,
The same guy played all year.
13 teams have only had one. So,
11 teams.
11 teams.
11 teams have had the same starter every game? Wow. That's out of 32?
32. So that means
21 teams
21 teams
have had multiple quarterbacks started. Yeah, that's crazy.
Cardinals have had 4 straight
Yeah,
different quarterbacks.
yeah. The Blau, that wizard out of Purdue. started
Yeah, he
last
cost me about 3 draft picks by not beating the Falcons. Thank you.
year. All right, Cleveland plus 3 at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh still got a shot to get in, right?
Nope.
Not anymore?
Nope.
They're toast?
I'm going Little Hands. I think Little Hands is going to get run over by Chubb in this one.
All right. So you're taking the
I'm
Browns.
taking the Browns.
Oh, wait, that's you. That's me. I'm going to take Pittsburgh.
I'm going with Cleveland.
This next one's an interesting one.
The
Can you
Giants plus 14.
get 14?
14. And do we know Justin Fields? I mean, this is a big ball game. This is a huge ball game because it's home field advantage in the NFC, right?
That's correct. Philadelphia has to win this if the Cowboys win. Because if the Cowboys win and they lose, Cowboys win that tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So it's a huge game, but I think the reason why it's 14 is I don't believe the Giants can actually move out of their
they
spot.
can't.
They can't drop one, and they can't even move up one. They're locked into the spot. So how hard does Daniel Jones try? Not every week, because we always wonder how hard Daniel Jones tries.
I
but this
think
week
he's the
especially.
franchise quarterback now. I
Yeah.
think he's done enough this year to
Turned it
make him
around.
franchise quarterback.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Because I hate the Giants, and he is never going to take them anywhere.
Yeah, but I'm going to take Philly just because they need to win this game.
I'm with you.
Yep.
Right.
Same as here.
Well, we're way in agreement here all of a sudden. And Detroit and Green Bay. Detroit plus 4.5 at Green Bay. Give me the Packers all day long.
I threw these dome teams out under the bus, and I took Minnesota last week because they had made fun of Justin Jefferson. I thought Jefferson's going to go off, and they did not.
They shut him down.
Yeah, that was his smallest game as a pro. I'm still going Detroit. Detroit is on a heater. If they were in Vegas, pit boss would have already made them leave the building.
All right. TC, you the decide.
I hate both these teams, but I would never pick Green Bay for anything.
Well, that means Detroit.
So,
That's what a Bears fan does. And I got a friend out there that says, you can't hate Georgia. You're from Georgia. I said, oh, yes, I can. Green Bay hates Chicago. Chicago hates Green Bay. Because Aaron Rodgers says, we own you, right?
You had to bring that up. What's the next big?
And the last game is Tampa Bay +3 at Atlanta, which kills me. How in the world is Atlanta a 3-point favorite? It's got to be because they don't think
Brady not playing.
Brady and the bunch are going to play.
And Brady is going to play.
I know it.
They've already come out and said he's going to play. So I understand that there's no urgency for the game or anything else. But Lord help us, the Falcons do not need to win another game. Go butt-chin Brady
I'm
by
with you.
many points.
Yeah, by a lot more than 3.
I think the Braves. I mean, not the Braves. I think Atlanta's
Brady
gonna
playing
win.
football now?
Yeah. I think
Look at you.
I think Atlanta's gonna win. I
All
don't
right,
think.
TC's taking the Falcons.
I don't think Brady. He's gonna treat it like a preseason. I don't think he's playing past the half.
I don't know.
Well, we'll see what he's got to prove this week.
A half
guys-
is all he might need against that secondary.
Oh, man. Well, what a fun show. There was a lot we
It
We
depends
covered
on
a lot
which half
today,
he
didn't we?
plays.
Huh?
Yeah.
What'd you say, Larry the intern?
It depends on which half he plays.
Oh,
If
which half he
the
plays?
If he plays the second half, we don't have a chance.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. I'm with Robert. I'm on the let's lose every game we can, get a better pick trade. So, all right. Well, TC, we certainly appreciate you being with us today,
Thanks
buddy.
for having me.
Absolutely.
That was a lot of
Thanks
fun.
for coming.
A lot of fun. We'll get you back on next year when the Bears are not picking in the top 5 and hopefully be a little bit more competitive. But, guys, don't remember, take care of yourselves out there. I hope you all have a happy new year. And go get your numbers checked. Protect your ass. Talk to you soon.
Go Dogs.